This week kicks off the brilliant Love Our Colleges campaign, and what better way to start the week than with a quick catch up with our principal Mel Lenehan and our vice principal Michael Conway-Jones. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Hi, so my name's Mel. I'm the principal of Fircroft College, and my background is that I've always worked in the education sector. Started off teaching in higher education when I was studying, and then worked my way into further education, and finally found adults through teaching on access courses and A-levels, mainly in the areas of sociology, politics and psychology. I then went on to work for a large national adult and community learning provider for about 15 years. Started out as a programme manager, putting on courses across the East Midlands region, and then ended up managing a region and leading equality and diversity. And that was before I came to Fircroft, which was just over 3 years ago. Yeah, very happy and very proud to be the principal of Fircroft College.
So I'm Michael. My background is community development really. I worked on a housing estate and a race equality project, and then managed a big single regeneration budget community education programme. And I think that's probably why I ended up at Fircroft, because Fircroft's always worked particularly with the third sector, and those are some of the things that I've taught at Fircroft: community development and supporting managers in the third sector. I've been here a long time, 17 years, but it's not boring because it's different every year. The challenges are the same every year. But I think actually, in terms of the mission of the college, I think we're truer to that than we've ever been in terms of the profile of the students. That's what I'm enjoying.
Fantastic. So I suppose this leads us quite nicely to the aims of the Love Our Colleges campaign. Colleges and college staff in particular transform lives. They help people make the most of their talents and their ambitions, and they help drive social mobility. They help businesses improve productivity and drive economic growth. They are rooted in and committed to their communities and drive tolerance and well-being. They're an essential part of England's education system, educating and training 2.2 million people every year. So what role does Fircroft play in this, and why is this so important? One of the things about Fircroft is that it's a rather unique setting. It's one of the only residential, or the only residential college rather, in the West Midlands, and it's based in a George Cadbury family home. But that's not all that makes this place special. What does Fircroft mean to you, Mel?
So I suppose following on from what Michael's just said, really, I think it's what attracted me to Fircroft in the first place is coming to work here, but also I think is really important is its social justice mission, and being very explicit about its social justice mission. That's really carrying on its heritage. So Fircroft is celebrating its 110 years anniversary this year. So we've been around for a very long time, but social justice was at the heart of why George Cadbury Jr. founded the college, and it really remains the case today. And we see that in the stories and the transformation that happens in the lives of our students on a daily basis, which is fabulous. And one of the things about being a residential college is that transformation and the change that happens in people's lives happens very quickly, and you can see it, you know, almost overnight in some cases, and that's a very amazing organisation and thing to be a part of, really.
Fantastic. What about you, Michael?
I think I'm responsible for the curriculum. I think one of the things I enjoy about Fircroft is the freedom we've got to develop something that's fairly unique, really. So we do, you know, the English, the maths and the IT, but I think we do a lot more personal development programs, a lot more social awareness than most colleges could do, and I think that's what's particularly useful for people who are a long way from work and are just getting back into to education. So in terms of the, you're talking about the purpose of the college and how we fit it into the economy and so on. I think that's our bit of it, is if you like, the whole sort of pool of people who aren't engaging.
Yeah.
This is a really good way in for them, and we can give them those first steps, and then we've got a really strong guidance team, so they can then move people on as well.
Fantastic. I think we've just touched on that really. Our students come from all walks of life, and without places like Fircroft, what kind of disadvantage do you think this would cause?
Well, often the stories that our students tell us when they come here, and they are very open about their stories of their past and what's brought them to the situation they're in now, but also their futures and what they aspire to. Many of them say that there isn't anywhere else that they would go to. So if they didn't come here, they would find it very difficult to engage back into education. So that means, ultimately those opportunities for re-engagement, for thinking about futures, for raising ambitions and aspirations, just wouldn't happen for a whole tranche of people. I think the other thing that would be a travesty really if Fircroft wasn't here was the way that diverse groups of people come together. And our students come from, as you said, they come from all walks of life, and they are put into a quite intensive environment. So for many of our students, they're with us for one course is 48 hours. So they are within a situation which for many are really challenging, scary, intimidating. They've been out of education for a very long time, but they very quickly adjust, and part of the reason why they quickly adjust is the strength of the peer relationships that happen within our classes. So it's like little communities kind of come into being almost within the first couple of hours of the students being together. And those communities are made up of students and people and adults who wouldn't necessarily meet each other, talk to each other, learn together anywhere else really. So I think that's that's one of the really important parts of being a residential college, is that those conversations, that support happens not only when students are in classrooms and being kind of taught formally, but also over dinner, in the evenings, when they're working together on assignments, at breakfast in the morning, when they're taking a bit of time out to have a walk around the garden. That's when those relationships are formed, and that's actually probably where the most powerful elements of learning that happens at Fircroft take place really.
Wonderful. What would you say, Michael?
I think one of the things I've seen changing is the sort of increasingly complex needs of students, and I mean that's why I say we're meeting the mission more than ever before. So the percentage with mental health and other health difficulties has massively increased, and we've put in the support to make that work for them. And I think that's partly, we're in a context where a lot of services have disappeared, a lot of third sector organisations have disappeared. So maybe people are coming to us, they have to be coming for education, but actually we're meeting a lot of other needs that aren't being met by society. And then there's a lot of outcomes as well, I suppose, the educational ones, in terms of people's health and well-being. And I think we can do that as well. And I think one indication of why we're needed, if that's the question, is probably, I'd point you to the referring organisations. So they're there are some 99 different organisations that are referring people here, from recovery organisations, for example, or GPs. So obviously they see that their clients need to move on, and it's a case of just catching them at the right time when they can succeed. They're ready for education.
Fantastic. I suppose that comes to the point of how would you say that Fircroft shows its commitment to education and to our community? You mentioned referral partners, which are obviously an integral part of our community as well and helping. So how would you say that Fircroft shows that commitment as well?
So I think, one of the things that happens here, which I think is also fairly unique, and again about the way that we organise our curriculum and programmes, is that for the vast majority of our students who come here on a kind of short course programmes, those are highly individualised, so they are very much based on what the student needs. And as Michael said, that might be English and maths or digital skills, but often that comes with a need for varying levels of personal development and plus thinking about the future. So that's about line of sight either to employment or to volunteering or to being a better citizen in terms of working back in the communities that our students come from. Many of our students will go back into the organisations that have supported them to get to the point they are now. So we have quite a substantial programme that supports that in terms of volunteering skills, mentoring skills, and some of the more core practical skills that you need to work in support agencies that might be working with people in recovery from drug and alcohol abuse, for example. So I think that that's about understanding that every person comes with a unique story and with a unique ability to get to where they want to be, and our job is to get to the bottom of that and help students understand that too, and then offer a programme of education that we can within the parameters that we can, that enables them to ultimately move on. I think the other thing that is about our commitment is that we're committed to excellence in terms of the education in the environment that we provide, and that's really demonstrated by the high success rates that we enjoy. So, we have success rates across all our programmes that are way above national averages, and retention rates that are way above national averages. And last year we came top in terms of all the colleges in the country in terms of learner satisfaction. So, we're committed not only to providing education which meets the needs of our learners, but also education that is of an excellent standard.
Brilliant.
It's quite interesting to think who our communities are. So this is something I teach. So I'm thinking it's they can be geographical, they can be communities of interest, communities of identity, and that would describe our students. But in terms of the geography, obviously, there are some people who are on our doorstep, but the whole point about being residential is that people can also come from further afield. What's interesting is, although people could come from anywhere, they are coming from some of the most deprived wards in the region. So I suppose that's our community really, and as Mel said, it's really diverse. So in terms of for example, ethnicity or social economic situation or orientation or whatever, I think there are lots of different communities, and I think maybe one of the advantages about coming here is that you meet people who are very different, and that again is another way that you're perhaps better prepared for a society and a workplace that's increasingly diverse. But I know one of the the key things the new combined authority are looking for is inclusive growth. So they're concerned about the communities, however you define that, mostly geographical, that are getting left behind. And I think we're doing really well. If you look at the postcodes that people are coming from, if those are our communities, I think we're meeting their needs increasingly.
Fantastic. And finally, what do you love about our college?
Many things, but I mean, it's an amazing place to work in terms of the setting. So one of the things, the first thing that I did when I walked down the drive or drove down the drive when I first came here was to say wow, and I think that's the common response to the setting that we work in. But I think the thing that I love most about the college is the people. So the stories of our students never cease to amaze me in terms of their bravery and their ability to overcome, really challenging backgrounds and situations that they might still find themselves in, and how they can build their ambition and how they build that by seeing people like them doing things that they could aspire to. So I was talking to a student the other day who said she came here wanting to get into fostering children, which is amazing. But now, after doing our pre-access course, she wants to be a child psychologist. So that that's within a fairly short space of time. So it's definitely about the people, and that's definitely the students, their stories, but it's also the people who work here. So we have an amazing staff team here, and they go way and beyond their commitment to the college and the students, and ultimately they are the reason why we are so successful. And it's just a great place to work with a great bunch of people.
Can't argue with that. What about you, Michael? What do you love about our college?
Sometimes you need visitors to remind you when you're showing them around. They say, wow. Or you need to visit other organisations to realise how unique the culture is here, actually. And I think maybe what I appreciate most about it is the sort of opportunity for growth. So for the students, in terms of the environment, but also for staff, actually. So I think people they need to have. We're so small. They need to have quite a lot of autonomy and a really broad range of skills, and they need to have quite a sort of span of responsibility, and we need people to take initiative. And for me, those are all really exciting things that I've enjoyed while I've been here, and enjoy managing and giving people those opportunities. And again, Mel and I have both been doing bits of research, and some of it's quite sort of radical, very different theories, and it is just amazing. You go to these conferences and people are like, so you're doing this for real? This isn't a theory.
Yeah.
And it makes you realise what a unique opportunity we've all got here to do something that actually is very different.
Yeah, it's a real privilege, I think. Yeah.
Fantastic. So Fircroft will be taking part all week in the Love Our Colleges campaign, so keep your eye on our Twitter feed for more info.